Hey, what's going on, everybody? Caleb here, one half of When Heroes Are Zeros, coming at you with a different kind of video today. Coming at you with an iceberg video with an iceberg that I actually made. Disturbing Creepypasta Iceberg. Typically these go from most well-known stuff to least well-known, but this one's going to go from least disturbing to most disturbing. I made this because I've been really getting into the whole iceberg video thing lately, and because all the creepypasta icebergs I've seen are just garbage. So I figured I might as well make my own. If you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up button. And then if you really like it, you could even hit that little red subscribe button thing and then hit that bell next to it too. But anyways, let's get this intro over with. And there's also I posted this on Imgur, so there's going to be a link in the description if you want to check out this iceberg and follow along with me. Okay, now, I got a disclaimer, or rules, if you will. Rule 1, no SCPs. SCPs are not creepypastas, guys. I mean, they're awesome and they're scary, and some of them are hella disturbing, and I might even make an SCP iceberg later on. But they are not creepypastas, so they will not be on here. No Trevor Henderson creations. That means no Siren Head. Again, his stuff is really friggin' awesome and disturbing and scary as all hell. In fact, Siren Head's the #1 rated creepypasta right now. At least it was last time I checked. But he will not be on this list, and none of his creations will be, and no backrooms for the same reason as no SCPs. It's really not a creepypasta, even though they are scary and disturbing, and I may make a backrooms iceberg later on too. Alright, starting at the top, I got a few good ones here. These aren't going to be nightmare fuel pastas, but these are all pretty scary, and these are all good, I think, gateway creepypastas, if you're not too familiar with the genre yet. Been drowned. Alright, so before everybody rips into me, let me address this one. This iceberg is going from least disturbing to most disturbing, guys, and we haven't even touched the ice yet. So I wanted to put some pretty mild stuff up top. I think Ben Drown is a scary pasta for what it is. I mean, like, if I was this kid, I would have shit my pants. It's good, you know, it's kind of a gateway creepypasta, I would say. It's one of the most popular ones. It's one of the ones that most people listen to. And so that's what I thought deserved to be on this iceberg. Tales from the Gas Station. Now, this is another one that's not the scariest in the world. It's not scary at all, in fact. But it is a pretty good story. To sum it up, it's about this guy named Jack who works at a gas station at the edge of town. And weird shit happens here. And there's a lot to Tales at the Gas Station. I mean, you got Tales from the Gas Station Volume 1, Tales from the Gas Station Volume 2, Tales from the Gas Station Volume 3, Tales from the Gas Station Volume 4. I screwed up and I put Volume 4 twice here, but you get the idea. There's even Happy Halloween from the gas station, Merry Christmas from the gas station, a murder at the gas station bedside manor stories, whatever shit that was. So yeah, there's a lot here for just a creepypasta. Take a look. Lost episodes can be found again. So this was my first introduction to lost episodes, and I guess you could call them creepypastas, but I think it goes more than creepypasta because I've seen whole icebergs based on lost episodes. But I think this is a good introduction into them. So basically this guy, he's talking about this movie he watched when he was a kid that disturbed him. It was a version of the Aristocrats, but it was a different version of the Aristocrats. It was a lost episode version. And so some stuff happened in this video, and this guy does some digging, and he can't find anything, and he keeps digging and digging and digging, and eventually he finds out about these things called lost episodes, and there's this group called the Lost Media Group, and he eventually talks with somebody who has other lost episodes, and they're each as disturbing as the Aristocats one. And it's a pretty lengthy story, but it's also really good, and definitely worth a listen. Secret Bar. Not the secret bar, just secret bar. So this one's about this guy who's obsessed with secrets and going to bars, basically. And he's been to all the bars in his town, and he's looking for a new one. He's looking for a new experience. He's kind of an adrenaline junkie, thrill seeker, kind of like myself. But anyways, he hears about this one secret bar, and he meets up with this gal, and she takes him to this building. They go on this elevator, and it goes deep, 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 deep into the ground. And so when he gets off the elevator, he walks into the bar. The bartender says, "Welcome to hell." And so the main character goes up. He tries to order a drink. Guy says, "We don't have whiskey here. We don't have soda here." They go, "Well, what do you have?" He's like, "We have some despair or some misery. And if you're feeling adventurous, we have some depression." So the guy's like, okay, weirdo, you know, he's thinking they're just running a gimmick here. And then he starts to look around at the other bar patrons, and to give an example of one of them is a lady who's smoking, but she smoked so much that her skin is leathery and the ashtray is just overflowing with cigarettes. And eventually it starts to click in this guy's head what he's gotten himself into. And I'll let you read the rest of the story to find out what happens. Wayward video. So this one's about these two dudes living out in the desert, and they run a video store business long before the internet and video stores really took off. And so this one dude doesn't have his parents. They disappeared when he was a kid, and they've been closer than brothers, blah blah blah. Anyways, so the one guy goes into town, picks up the videos that were returned, them, brings it back. His friend's watching them. And so the one guy goes to bed or something along those lines, and his friend stays up and watches the videos all night. So the guy wakes up the next day, he goes to check on his friend, but his friend has locked the door, he's locked himself inside, along with the dog. So the other guy's kind of weirded out, he's like, okay. The guy doesn't respond when he knocks and yells his name or anything. So he's like, alright, well, whatever. So he leaves some food out for the guy and the dog. He says, hey, there's some food out here, I'm running into town, whatever. As he's going into town, he's thinking, okay, I guess he watched like a creepy ass video or something that scared him, and now he doesn't want to talk about it. So he gets to town and he talks to the lady that he picked up the videos from, and he said, hey, did you watch the video? It's got some cutesy name like Cutie Bunny or something like that. And she's like, oh yeah, I saw it. She's like, it wasn't for kids, but it wasn't, you know, terrifying. He's like, okay, weird. So he heads home, and then he still can't get his friend to unlock the door, and some time goes by, and eventually he finds his way in. I think he breaks down the door. But his dog attacks him when he does this, and his dog never attacks. So this is really strange. But he gets his dog off of him, and then his friend comes out, and his friend's like totally different. He's scrawny, his limbs are looking a little longer. He looks totally changed. He's almost like a mutant. And then I believe his friend takes off. But so the guy winds up watching the video, and in the video he sees his friend's two parents, and they're chained up in this basement. And something is happening to them, and they're turning into what his friend was turned into. And so, fast forward a bit, and this guy winds up running from all three of these creatures, because his friend is now one of these creatures too. And I'll go ahead and let you listen to the rest of this yourself. Security guard. So this is the first rules pasta I listened to, and the first one to my knowledge, and let me tell you, these really took off in popularity. It seems like every other day, one of the narrators that I frequently listen to on YouTube is narrating another one of these rules pasta. Some are great, some are dog shit. This one is very well done, and it's definitely worth a listen to. I'm not going to summarize it because there's really not a lot to say. The title just says it all, and there's going to be a few of those like that on this iceberg that just the title is a summary of it. You're just going to have to listen to it for yourself. This one's pretty spooky though. The Man Who Ate Ghosts. Okay, this is the last creepypasta for this tier. We're not even touching the ice, mind you. And the reason this one is last is because it almost made me sick when I was listening to it. Keep in mind I had just eaten, and I had a pretty good sized breakfast, and I was driving to work. But the way that the narrator, who I listened to Dark Somnium, this one, but the way he was narrating it, and he was doing like the choking sounds and the gagging sounds, really made my stomach churn. I think I had to pause it a couple of times because I thought I was going to get sick. So if you want to listen to this one, keep that in mind. It might be better to just read this one. But it's the summary is in the title. It's about a man who eats ghosts. This guy's working in an insane asylum, I believe, and one of his inmates is acting a little stranger than usual, and he goes to investigate, and this is what he sees. That's tier 1. So I invite you to go listen to these, give these a read. The link for the iceberg will be down in the description, so feel free to follow along with me. But here's what we're going to be looking at today. You may have heard of some of these are fairly well known, but they're all pretty damn scary. I went camping with my friends, and a stranger joined our group unnoticed. There's really not too much to say about this one. You may notice while you're listening to this story that's eerily similar to another story along these lines. But yeah, this one is, the summary is in the title there, short, sweet, and to the point. The burned photo. This is an excellent story right here. So, quick summary of this. So it's taking it from the point of view of this lady, and she's talking about her mom. And her mom had a son a long, long time ago. And her son made this friend. And so her son and this friend were playing together for quite a while. And then one day her son just goes missing just like that. Right? They look everywhere for him. They can't find him anywhere. She thinks the friend had something to do with it. And so fast forward a little bit. And the girl who's currently narrating, when she was younger, she had a friend too that she made just kind of out of the blue. And the strange stuff that happened the first time with her little brother was happening with her. And she wasn't taken away, obviously, because she's narrating the story. But fast forward again, now the narrator has a daughter or a son, I believe it's a daughter, and she makes a new friend out of the blue, and it's the same pattern of stuff that's happening. And I haven't finished reading this one yet, but it's damn good so far, and I generally have no idea what's taking these kids. Like, normally I can figure it out because I've listened to so much, and I'm so familiar with cryptids and all that stuff, but this time I don't know what's taking these kids. This one is definitely worth a listen to, worth a read if you have not done so yet. The Gym Teacher. Alright, now this one has an opening unlike any opening I've ever seen in any story ever. So that opening is really going to grab you for this one. I'm not going to say what it is here, but just listen to like the first minute, or just read the first paragraph, and you're going to want to read more. But I mean, in short, it's about a kid who's out of shape, and he doesn't have any friends to my knowledge, and his gym teacher's kind of hard on him, and he finds something that he really likes, but it's not ethical, we'll say. And without spoiling too much of the story, it gets progressively worse and worse and worse. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this one. This is one you're just going to have to read for yourself, listen to it for yourself. Heavy Rain. So this is a fairly long one. It's about an hour and 20-minute narration. It starts out with this lady who's on her way to work. She's hearing some weird stuff on the radio about other countries, something that happened in China and another country I can't remember the name of. Anyways, she winds up stopping her car. She thinks she has a flat, and then all of a sudden it starts to rain, but it's not a normal rain. It's like flesh falling from the sky. And anyways, she winds up meeting and talking with this old man in the story. And so they part ways, and she's sitting in her car as this flesh is falling, and the next thing she knows, she's buried in the flesh. Fast forward a bit, something's trying to get into her car, and so she's having to keep herself safe, trying to keep this creature out only way she can, which, I mean, you're trapped in your car, what are you going to do, really? But eventually she does leave her car, and she sees the whole world around her is just different. It's this red, fleshy landscape. Eventually she finds the old man, and he's dead. He's either dead or zombified. I don't remember exactly what happened to him. But and then I believe she heads home to take care of her mother, who is disabled. But this is kind of a storm pasta, you'd call it. There's quite a few pastas that share this theme of, you know, storm or emergency warning or something like that. You stay locked inside a house, or locked inside a car in this case, and then stuff is happening outside. This is one of those. It's done very well, and I definitely recommend you listen to it. The Monolith. The Monolith, which is part of the Seven Spires anthology by Birch. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Sorry if I butchered it. I haven't listened to all 7 of these, or however many there are. This is definitely the best one I've listened to so far. This guy actually has a book up on Amazon with all these stories in it, and I think that's awesome. I feel like a lot of creepypasta authors don't do that when they totally could put out a book, and then people like myself would buy it just to read these stories. And if you're an author and you have several stories, you should definitely do that. Definitely look into doing something like that. Anyways, so this story is about a researcher who goes to Antarctica, or the North or South Pole, one of the cold places that's ice 24/7, and they're studying this monolith. And so there's already been a couple incidents with the other researchers studying this monolith, and he goes up and he explains his experience with it. He gets these weird voices in his head. They're telling him stuff, and then I believe he wakes up in the med room, the infirmary. And then something happens to everybody at the end. I don't remember exactly what. It's been a while since I've listened to it, but it's almost like a mass suicide, I think. They all kill each other or something along those lines. But this is a really good pasta. I don't remember his other stories very well for the Seven Spires anthology. Like I said, this one is the best of the anthology so far, but definitely give this one a read. Definitely listen to the Seven Spires. Does anyone remember the Great Blackout of 2014? I don't remember it, but this guy did. And to my knowledge, he's the only person in the world that remembers it. This one starts out pretty slow, not gonna lie, but it does pick up towards the end. This is another one of those kind of like Heavy Rain is a storm pasta, quote unquote, where these people are locked in their house and there's a blackout, and they put blankets up in the windows and they bar the windows and doors and everything like that, while they're listening to the radio, and the radio is telling them what to do. You know, stay inside, stay away from the windows and doors, and da 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 da. And the main character eventually winds up having a panic attack, and he's like, I gotta go, I gotta leave this house. And they're like, don't do it, don't do it. But eventually he leaves and he sees something. And then the next day, he wakes up and everything's normal, quote unquote. And he's the only one that can seem to remember the blackout that happened. Because his girlfriend and her family, who he was with in the house during the blackout, don't say anything about it, they don't even talk. And then he goes to work and nobody mentions it, and then at the end of the story, one of his coworkers asked him, did you have a good weekend? And he like kind of scoffs it off and tells her sarcastically, oh yeah, lots of fun with that blackout, you know. And she goes, huh? You had a blackout? And he goes, wait, what? So you didn't experience the blackout? Wait, what's going on here? And so that's how it ends. It's a really good story, really good storm pasta, definitely worth a read. 87. So this one actually shares a distinct similarity to a most disturbing Reddit post on that iceberg. I can't remember what the post was, and I don't really feel like searching it too much. So yeah, you're just gonna have to take my word for it on that one. But this one is about stuff that could actually happen. So it's the story of these two kids. They're like 8 or 9, and then they're best friends, and the third guy comes along and they all start playing together, and they frequently go to this cliff. And so their third friend, the newest one, falls off the cliff. I think they were messing with him, actually. They were messing with him. So he falls down. Yeah, they pulled a prank on him. He falls down onto a lower kind of mini cliff, and then I believe the cliff starts to give way and he falls, and they assume to his death. And so they don't know what to do. They freaking shit themselves, and they make a pact. We're not going to tell anybody. So they both go home. The boy's mom, who fell, goes to their house begging them, what happened, please tell me if you know anything, and they still don't say anything. And then the police, obviously they go out to search for him, and they're search and rescues, and then the two boys go out themselves to do the search and rescue thing. I don't think they ever find his body. But the scary part is they find where his body lands, and they can see tracks. So he wasn't dead upon impact. He actually moved, and he tried to get out of the forest. And I don't remember exactly how this one ends. I'm not just saying that. It's been a while since I've listened to it. But this is a good one. Definitely give it a listen. Christmas Land. So this story was written by Elias Witherow, and I hope I pronounced that name right, because this guy's written a lot, and all of his stories are disturbing and scary. He's kind of the, you could call Trevor Henderson a legend among the horror community for making so many disturbing characters like Siren Head, and sorry, I can't remember all the names now, but the Smiling Cat one and the other stuff he's made. You could call Elias a legend for making so many disturbing creepypastas. So I saved this one for last on purpose because it's the scariest on this tier, and it's a really, really good story. So it starts out with this little boy. He lives with his mom. His dad's not in the picture. His mom works like 2 or 3 jobs, so she's not home very often. So this kid doesn't really get a Christmas ever, and it never snows where he is. So all he wants is just to have a Christmas. And so this hand comes out of the chimney and starts talking to him. He's like, would you like to go to Christmas Land? There's lots of other little boys and girls there just like you. who want to enjoy Christmas, and da 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 da. So the kid eventually goes with him. So when the kid goes with the hand to Christmas land, he first finds himself falling from the sky with a bunch of other kids. And, you know, every now and then a kid will ram into each other and he'll hear bones break and stuff like that. They all wind up in this giant net. And this kid's looking around and he's seeing these giants, which are like snapping these nets. And all these kids are pouring onto this giant pile. And some of them are trying to run away, but the giants kick the kids back onto the pile, killing them on impact. And he continues looking around Christmas land. And he sees a really, really big, faceless, sexless giant, bigger than the others, just sitting there, calmly, waiting to be awoken by all these other smaller giants. And so Christmas Land's this whole, just hellish dimension. And now the character eventually makes it out of Christmas Land and back to his own time. But it's very disturbing the way Elias writes, and how descriptive he is. And I listened to Dark Somnium's narration of this, and he did a great job narrating it. It scared the hell out of me. This one is definitely the best on this tier. This one is definitely worth a listen. Alright guys, that's tier 2. I hope at least some of you are reading these stories or listening to these stories, because it just gets scarier from here on. Part 3, we got more Elias. We got some Mr. Outlaw. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. This is what tier 3 is going to consist of, what we'll be discussing today. One thing I want to address real quick, I did put the Red West on this iceberg twice. That was a mistake. So the Red West right here in tier 3 is the definitive one, so just ignore that one. That's going to be 2 tiers down. This is where I think the Red West belongs, and I'll talk about that more when we actually get to that story. There's an astronaut walking around my backyard. This is another one done by Elias, who I touched on in the last video. This one's fairly short, and basically what it is this guy is sitting in his yard relaxing, and all of a sudden he sees an astronaut walking around, and he's assuming he just drank too much or something like that. But then he sees the astronaut again, and I think the astronaut comes over to talk to him, and the guy's like, "What are you doing? Like, it's not Halloween? You cosplaying or something?" And the astronaut's like, "Where do you think you are right now? Where are you right now?" And the guy, "I'm in my backyard. I'm in Nebraska, wherever it is this guy lives." And the astronaut's like, no, you're not." And so the guy's like, "You're crazy." And he looks up at the sky, and he sees some weird shape up there, made by the clouds, if I remember right. And he's like, "Well, that's not normal." And then the astronaut starts to explain. He's like, "You're not where you think you are." I think the guy's hallucinating or something along those lines, but this guy's actually in another dimension, if I remember correctly. And so this astronaut's trying to help get him out of this dimension and get anybody else out of this dimension. And for how short it is, it's a really well done story. Birch in the woods. So we had a really short one with the astronaut, and now we have a really long one. The Church in the Woods is about a 3-hour narration, and I can't do too much summary wise because it is so long, but basically this guy goes to live in the church, and there's a cult there, and there's also a pregnant girl there, and the birthing of this baby is very good for this cult and very bad for everybody else, and that's basically the gist of the story. Yeah, there's not much more to say about this one. When we were 18, my friends and I played the staircase game. So one cool thing about this one is, I guess a lot of people have fear of staircases and staircases going into dark places and stuff like that, which, yeah, I can kind of see that, especially if you're younger. But this one is basically a ritual pasta / game pasta, kind of like the Midnight Game, which is further down on this iceberg. But as a result of that, this one's kind of hard to summarize, and the title pretty much summarizes it. But yeah, these 3 friends play the staircase game, and as they start playing, they're sent to kind of another dimension, and they just kind of keep going down the stairs no matter what happens, because the main character who convinced them to play the game is trying to rescue somebody, which can be done if you beat the staircase game or whatever it is exactly. But it's a fairly good story, rather long, but fairly good. I'm a guard at a secret government prison. Alright, so this is a Mr. Outlaw story, and Mr. Outlaw, like Elias, has written a lot of creepypastas. This is not the first one in this I guess you could call it a series. It's kind of all intertwined. They call it the Mr. Outlaw multiverse or Mr. Outlaw universe, whatever they call it. There's a lot to this. I haven't even read them all. This is somewhere in the middle. This is the first one that I listened to. This one isn't so much scary and disturbing as it is more actiony. It's another extremely long one. I think it's like 4 or 5 hours long if you add all the parts together. But basically what it is there's this guy who's a prison guard at a secret prison, but it doesn't hold normal inmates, it holds superhumans basically. And so something happens and all these superhumans break out, and this guy is hiding because he's like, fuck, I can't do anything. So he's hiding and he's watching on security cameras as all these superhumans are running into each other and fighting and killing each other. Some of them are teaming up, some of them are just fighting and killing each other, some are just so insanely powerful that it takes multiple prisoners to take one down. And then eventually another group of superhumans come in to contain the prisoners, and then it turns out we find out this guy who is a dimensional hopper is the one who started this prison riot. He's looking for a powerful prisoner to take to another dimension and all this stuff. It's a very long, very good story. Not so much scary and disturbing, but more actiony, and that's why it's higher up on this iceberg, and so are Mr. Outlaw's other stories. The P Fields of Cog7. So this is another one written by the man himself, Elias. This is a more weird, obscure one that is horror. But basically this guy is transported to these fields where these humans are growing in like corn stalks, but there's humans in the corn, whatever you call the stick of corn that's in between all those leaves and stuff. There's humans inside there. And so this guy gets to talking with this little kid, and the really cool thing that I like about this story is this kid mentions other stories written by Elias, like the Red West, for example, and Chrome, not the Chrome Sunset, but the Chrome something. And I believe the kid mentions one more world that Elias has created. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So he's kind of connecting all of these stories that he's created. Yeah, this one's fairly short. It's only about a 20-minute or 30-minute narration. Pretty good, worth a listen to. It does come with a content warning though, so be aware of that. Not meant for kids. And last but not least, the Red West. So Elias wrote this one once again. So the reason when I originally made this iceberg, I was going to put the Red West lower down, but I thought about it again, and this one's really more action than it is horror, so that's why I raised it on a tier higher. So basically this guy who got lucky and got some money recently is renting this beach house, and so it's him, his wife, and his kid, and they're, you know, hanging out doing their thing, and then he's making dinner, and all of a sudden this guy knocks at his door. So he answers it, and the guy's like, hey, I need you to leave here right now. And he's like, okay, whatever, crazy guy, get lost. So the guy leaves. Well, first he kind of begs and pleads with him. He's like, please, listen to me, just leave. And the guy's like, no, get out or I'm calling the cops. So the big guy leaves. And then they're eating dinner. They finish dinner, then a storm rolls in, a mild storm or some clouds roll in, and then the guy comes back. And he's like, hey, you seriously need to leave now. And the main character of the story is like, hey, we're not leaving. He's like, alright, fine. If you're not leaving, then I'm coming in. He's like, because that storm, that is not a normal storm. And so the big guy comes in, and then like he takes off his jacket, and it turns out he's huge and ripped and all this stuff. And so the main character is like a little startled by this. And then the storm comes in, and the storm's getting worse and worse and worse. And then the big guy like walks up to the window. The main character's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm gonna go out and kill that thing. And so that's what he does. And there's a comment on the narration that I watched for this video, and it said Thor goes to fight Cthulhu. Yeah, that's a pretty good summary of this one. Okay, so that's tier 3 of this iceberg video. So right now we are at tier 4. We're halfway through this beast, and we got some good stuff here today. So let's get started. Cake family. Okay, so I wanted to get this one out of the way first, because this is one I see at the bottom of a lot of creepypasta icebergs, and a lot of people find it very disturbing and so terrifying, and oh, it's the worst creepypasta ever as far as scary goes and all this stuff. It's not very good, okay? It's dumb, dude. So here's the whole thing. Basically, there's this whiny ass bitchy detective who's crying and he's all scared and shaken up and traumatized because of what he saw. He goes into this house and there's this family that they're flat like pancakes, just like the title says. They've been flattened by these metal presses or whatever, but somehow they're still alive because they have an IV in them and they've been this way for years, and every year they get a little bit flatter and flatter, and then one of the members of the family is like, please kill me. Oh, please kill me. And this guy's so scared. He's like, I wish they were dead. Oh, how I wish they were dead. And it's just dumb, dude. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm reading this, I'm like, wait, what? They're still, how are they still, that doesn't make any sense. And like, I didn't even finish listening to it. It was only about 30 minutes long, and I still didn't finish listening to it. So that should tell you how bad it was. If this sounds interesting to you, give it a listen, give it a read. I stuck it on here because I see it in so many places and so many people are scared by it, and I just wanted to address it. The Craigslist job gone wrong. Now this is a good story, and this is a story that doesn't involve cryptids or ghosts or anything quote unquote fake. Basically this guy answers a Craigslist job listing. He goes to his house with his friend. I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but the first night that shit gets really weird really fast, and so they're basically in this house with this psycho ass family, and this family kills one member of the party that came that answered the job listing, and then these two friends manage to fight their way through this psycho family and fight their way out, but the family members have this tattoo on them, and so when the cops finally come to save them, they see the same tattoo on the cops, and somehow this guy, I believe it's him and his friend, both make it away safely, but I know for a fact he did because he, wrote this. But they're wondering if this tattoo, if this is like a cult or if it's something bigger. It's a really well done story. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long. Unfortunately, I couldn't find who the author is. It wasn't listed on the narration I listened to, and the Creepypasta Wiki is just really shitty about that. They don't really have the author's name up front for some reason. And I think it's a shame when the author can't be found for stuff like this. Like, I can understand wanting to remain anonymous because some people might, feel the need to be an asshole and just say, oh, how bad the story isn't, But I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I posted something on the Creepypasta website and they haven't even got back to me yet, and that was like a year ago, so yeah. I'd say if you are the author and you are somehow watching this video, you should put your name on this story and continue this story, because I really want to know if there's a cult going on in this universe. And yeah, The Midnight Game. This is a legendary creepypasta. A lot of people have heard this one. I'll just do a brief summary of it. It's a game pasta, if you didn't guess that by the title. A group of young friends I believe they go into abandoned prison to play the Midnight Game. I don't remember what the prize is at the end, but like as soon as they start playing the Midnight Game, like weird shit starts happening. Like these voices start talking to them. There's some crazy big guy inside the prison. I don't know if he's just some guy squatting there, if he's part of the Midnight Game, but this stuff just keeps happening, man. And it's about an hour long narration, maybe an hour and 10, hour and 30. Definitely give this one a listen to, definitely give this one a read. It is a very popular story, and for good reason. My friend has been living in an alternate reality. Now, this is a Mr. Outlaw story, a very long Mr. Outlaw story. Most of his stories are very long. And basically the title summarizes the story. There's not much really for me to say on this one, because it's so long and because there's just so much stuff that happens in this alternate reality. It's one you just have to read it for yourself. You gotta listen to it for yourself. If I try to summarize it, I'm just gonna make it sound like shit. We decided to explore an abandoned dead mall. Well, hopefully I spelled abandoned right on the iceberg. Don't be too hard on me if I spelled it wrong. But this one is one that I just listened to recently from an author I had not heard of before. And so this one, it starts out, this guy and his girlfriend, they have a YouTube channel where they explore various abandoned places, and as most of these YouTube channels go, nothing really happens. But this time something happens. They go into this mall and somehow they get transported to another dimension. I believe they're back in time too. They are back in time, I remember. Yeah, so they're back in time, but they're also in another dimension because there's weird, like, freaking monsters in this dimension. This is about an hour and a half narration. It's a really, really, really good pasta. It's hella scary. That's why it's down on this iceberg so far. I highly recommend you listen to this one. Alright, well, that's the end for this tier. Another short video, I know. Some of these you can't summarize them, and you can summarize them. It just summary won't make any sense, and I'll probably just make it sound really stupid and garbage. You just gotta listen to these for some of them. I hope people are taking my word for it and are listening to some of these. All of these on this iceberg are worth listening to, minus the Pancake Family. Alright, time for tier 5. No more intros. Oh, and ignore the Red West. You don't see that there. That's not there. Alright, everybody. So this is the Disturbing Creepypasta Iceberg. That being said, from here on down, there are going to be some stories on here that are pretty disturbing. They're pretty messed up, and so I'm going to stick some of them with a content warning. If you see this, you can either expect NSFW or NSFL. NSFW stands for Not Safe for Work. That one's pretty self-explanatory. NSFL stands for Not Safe for Life. And that one means the content is going to be along the lines of these things that I can't say on YouTube without them getting cranky, and other stuff. So if you don't want to hear stuff like this, or if you're sensitive to stuff like this, probably don't want to listen to the stories with the content warnings on them. Alright, we're going to do something a little bit different with this one, guys. We're going to invent a new genre of creepypasta. Alright, so you got your basic creepypasta, then you got your feel pasta, which makes you cry, then you got your ritual pasta, your game pasta, your rules pasta, which I've all talked about on this iceberg, then you got your troll pasta, or your lol pasta, which is somebody just makes up some shitty story and puts it in the atmosphere of a creepypasta. It's usually accompanied with a narration. Then you got your disgust pasta, which are ones that just make you sick, like the man that ate ghosts. But today we're going to invent the too fucking long pasta. This story, the left-right game, is a too fucking long pasta. Okay, this one clocks in at a 6-hour narration. That being said, it's really good. But let me ask you, at what point does your creepypasta just become a book, man? Like, there's another one on this iceberg, The Ragged, which clocks in at 5 hours. But before the narration, the narrator says, this is a book. It's like, oh, okay. I know this is going to be really long. It's like, dude, just write a damn book and then sell it. I mean, it's not even a creepypasta at that point anymore. It's just a scary story. Anyways, left-right game, like, it's just, so much of this was just unnecessary, and that's why I'm putting it in this too fucking long pasta genre, because it's like, dude, I don't need to know the specs of everybody's car. I don't need to know everybody's life story, everybody's fingernail colors, how they feel when so-and-so dies. It's like, dude, just tell the damn story. God! Okay, rant over. The left-right game is actually a really good story. So the gist of the story is this girl meets up with this guy who's been going on this game called the left-right game. And so what it is you drive down a road, you turn left, you drive some more, you turn right, you get the picture. You keep turning left and right until you're on some different dimension type of road, I guess. And a convoy of these people play the left-right game, and they're on this different dimension road. And the farther they drive down this road, the more bad shit starts to happen, and people start dying. They go to towns with people who have no faces who want to kill them. They go to giant freaking skyscraper cities that look like they're from an alien planet, that are full of some other weird type of entity that I think they're attracted to sound, if I remember correctly. And then at some point they come across this weird demonic baby thing. There's a lot to this 6-hour story, as I'm sure you can imagine, and it's really good. Definitely worth a listen to, even with the rant I said earlier. So if you've got 6 hours to kill, pop this fucker in, get comfortable, and enjoy. He has been stalked for the last 4 years. There's really not too much to say with this one. The title is a summary of the story. It's a fairly long story. It comes in parts. Give it a listen to. Really good, very disturbing, very scary. Showers. this is a very popular creepypasta. Some people claim it's the greatest creepypasta ever written. I don't know if I'd go that far. It is really good. The basic summary is there's a boy who was listening to his teacher's scary story about he went to the showers and some bad stuff happened at the showers. The story really stuck with this boy, and so he went when he was older to the showers. For the first time some bad stuff happened, man. He was scarred by the showers. And then years pass, he meets this girl. They're druggy, alcoholic losers, basically. Anyways, she convinced him to go to the showers. Again, they get to the showers, and bad shit happens again. The end. Fleshgate. This is a good one. This one's better than the showers. This one is a group of friends go out camping, and then a cryptid invades their group and starts morphing into humans and stuff like that, and really bad stuff starts happening. If you don't know what a cryptid is basically Bigfoot, or the Loch Ness Monster, or the Goatman from Indici's Goatman. Those are all cryptids. Anyways, yeah, this cryptid invades the camp, bad stuff starts happening. The author is really descriptive when he describes the cryptid transforming into what it is from its human form. It's an excellent pasta, an hour long. Give this one a listen to. Body of Black and Gold. Alright, my man Elias is scaring me again. So this one, people probably think this shouldn't be on the Disturbing Creepypasta Iceberg. So this one, in short, it's about a guy who's dating this girl, and his girl is away. She's in another state doing something, and he's in love with this girl. They haven't been dating very long, but he loves her. And he's got all this stuff going through his mind. What if she's cheating on me? What if something happens to her? What if she dies? And as all this stuff is going through his mind, if I'm remembering the story right, his eyes start bleeding gold or black or something like that. And then some demon comes through, and it progresses from there. The disturbing thing about this one to me was that this guy had a realistic fear. You know, he wasn't scared of Bigfoot. He wasn't scared of ghosts or anything like that. He was worried that his girl might be cheating on him or something might happen to her. That's a normal type of fear, especially when you really care for somebody and you just started dating before you have that trust established. So this one for me, I was just kind of like, whoa. I was kind of like, I can relate to this guy. I totally can relate to this guy. And on that note, if you have a problem with this kind of thing, I wouldn't recommend listening to this story, which is why I put this content warning here. Part of the deep web we aren't supposed to see. Okay, this is a deep web story, but it's not dog shit like every other deep web story ever written in the form of a creepypasta. Okay, because I'd say about 98% of the deep web stories are supposedly true, and they literally all go the exact same way. Here, I'm gonna show you every deep web creepypasta based on a true story right now. I'm a fucking nerd. I went on the deep web. I was looking for questionable, naughty films, cause I mean, why else would you go on the deep web? I was really good at deep webbing. Then I came to this website with some cutesy ass name like prettykitty.com. It was all, if you don't know where you are, you do not belong here. I went into the website. Don't ask me how I went in, but somehow I got in. It was a red room. They were doing naughty stuff to some girl. I was like, yo guys, that's not okay, stop that. A mod then sent me a PM with my name, address, phone number, bank statement, social security number, wife's name, kid's name, how many women my dad fucked before he met my mom. Just kidding, I don't have wife and kids, I'm a fucking loser. I got really scared after I got this PM. I went to the police. They were like, the fuck you want us to do? You're online, idiot. Now I'm on the run for the rest of my life because of the mistakes I made on the deep web. Don't go on the deep web! Okay, there you go. I just summarized like 50 different deep web true stories for you. You're welcome. So, the part of the deep web we aren't supposed to see is the first of Mr. Outlaw's stories in his multiverse. It's about this guy who goes on the deep web, as you can expect, and he sees some weird ass video. And it's not like a weird, like, bad, naughty video or anything like that. It's like a really weird, like, white noise, whatever that's called on the TV when it's all black and white. I can't remember the name right now. Or it's like when there's an emergency alert on your TV and it stops and it goes to, you know, the bars of colors and there's that like long beep sound. It's like that is what he sees. And so it like starts fucking with him. And I don't remember exactly how it goes, but I know really bad stuff happens to people who see this video, and some people die. Somehow the main character doesn't. But he knows about its existence now, and then like government officials and stuff find him, or he finds them, and they tell him, they're like, hey, don't ever go to that site again. You don't know what you're getting into right now. And he's like, oh, okay. And so eventually it escalates to him being kidnapped and literally tortured by this group of people who are trying to find this video thing. And so eventually after the torture, he gives in and he tells them, and this video winds up fucking these guys up so bad that like they can't even move. And it's great because in the end, one of the guys is reaching for a handgun to put himself out of his own misery, but the main character pushes the handgun away from him. And that's kind of how it ends. It's a fairly lengthy story. All of Mr. Outlaw's stories are good. This is the opening story. Give this one a listen to. Alright, Tier 5 is done. We got 2 more to go. I lied, we have 3 more to go. Anyways, here's Tier 6. Hopefully you're listening to some of these. Probably not, but whatever. Hopefully you have the balls to listen to at least one of these. They're just going to get worse from here, so if you were scared by the ones before, yeah. Alright, The Ragged is a really good story. I mentioned this earlier, it's a book. Right here, Brett Schumacher, hopefully I pronounced that right, is a perfect example of, if you're a creepypasta author, and especially if you've written a lot, you can stick these in a book and sell it, and people like me will buy it, because I love horror. So yeah, excellent story. It's a 5-hour narration, so there's a lot for me to summarize, and this is just a lot. I can't really give a just summary, so this is one you're just gonna have to listen to for yourselves. My birthday, my family gathers in one room and stares at me for 24 hours. This one is also in a book written by this guy, T.J. Leah. He has a different name on his Reddit. But anyways, this one is somewhere in the middle. I've listened to some of his other stuff. I like this one the best. This is another one that's kind of, it's hard to summarize, and I'm probably not gonna do a very good job. But basically, this family performs some weird ass ritual, and the main character, he inherited the sitting and staring position from his mother before him, and it's a very important ritual. And so his huge rich ass family, they all gather around and they just sit and stare at him for 24 hours. And the disturbing and scary part is what happens if they break eye contact with him within this time period. Tall dog. This one's hella sad. I almost cried. So this one is super short. It's about this guy and his daughter. This guy's wife recently passed, and his daughter's having a hard time with her mommy not being there. And so she keeps telling her dad about hearing or seeing this tall dog. And her dad's like, tall dog, what are you talking about, sweetheart? And so every night she tells, oh, I saw the tall dog last night, daddy, and stuff. And so he's getting a little worried, so he does some research and he finds out about this myth about the tall dog, and I'm not going to ruin it for you. But what happens is really sad, honestly. And yeah, you just gotta read this one for yourself. Have you ever heard of a chrome sunset? If you haven't, consider yourself lucky, because you do not want to be in a chrome sunset, okay? Really bad stuff happens when you're in a chrome sunset. This story goes, the guy, his daughter, and I think his friend are on their porch, and all of a sudden these chrome humanoid entities come out, and these entities come up to the house, and they're shooting these entities with a shotgun and stuff like that, and they're not slowing down. And so somebody gets grabbed. I forget who it is, but somebody gets grabbed by one of the chrome entities, and the entity turns this person into chrome, And I don't remember how the story ends. I'm not just saying that for suspense's sake. But it is very scary. It is a good one. It's Elias. I mean, what do you expect? So yeah, check this one out. I Am Nightmare. Okay, so I put this one in red font on the iceberg for a very specific reason. This was a really, really good creepypasta, and the author got an awful lot of hate for it, and it kind of pissed me off reading this. So, quick rant here. There's a lot of dog shit creepypastas out there. It would be very easy for me to make a video on various pastas and say how bad they are and da. But I don't do that, and the reason why is because horror is a very difficult thing to write, and to write it good. How many times have you seen a horror movie and thought, wow, that was dumb, that sucked? You know, it's a very difficult genre. It's probably the hardest genre to write. And so this guy wrote a really good, really scary one, and then he got a lot of hate for it for whatever reason. It's like they were targeting him specifically. So I'm here kind of defending him and hoping that he didn't stop writing just because of what some assholes on the internet said. Seal Phantom Butt, if you're for somehow or some reason watching this video right now, you wrote a kick-ass story, my dude. Keep writing. I'd love to hear more from you. That being said, this story is kind of similar to American Psycho. The main character on that reminds me a lot of the main character in this story. It's about a guy who he's seemingly normal, but he's also going insane at the same time. And he has these two drawings. They're not really paintings, but he's got these two drawings in his apartment, which is the picture right there. One of them I think is called Billy. I forget what the other one's called. But one of them's good and one of them's bad. The bad one's telling him to do, bad things and stuff like that. And he does do bad things, hence the content warning down below. But he's also trying to be normal at the same time. You know, his mental illness, he's trying to fight it off. And, you know, he's got some friends in real life. He's even got a girl he likes, and he invites them over in kind of like a group setting. And then his bad painting is telling him to do bad things again. And it's not very long even, but it was written so well, and he just got so much hate for it for whatever reason. Even if he didn't get hate for it, I would still put it on this iceberg because it was a kick-ass story. So if you listen to any story on this iceberg, I want you to listen to this one the most. Alright everybody, we're nearing the end of this disturbing creepypasta iceberg. The next layer is going to be the longest, and then the last layer only has 4 entries. We'll get to those. But I hope you're enjoying this, and let's continue. Oh man, second to last tier. There's some good stuff in here. Okay, so these 3 I already discussed in my previous creepypasta video I made. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. An EC's Goat Man, basically a group of friends who go camping, and some extra friend joins the group somehow. Have you ever heard of Channel 42? It's about this guy who's searching for this channel, and that nobody he talks to has heard of it, and there was some really weird, disturbing shit on this channel. And my dog was lost for 3 days in the woods, and then it came back, but what came back wasn't my dog. The title is basically the summary of the story. Moving on. I visited the 7 gates of please learn from my mistakes. So this is a real location. I'm not sure how accurate the creepypasta is to where what actually happens when you go through the 7 gates. I did watch a YouTube video where these kids went through the 7 gates and nothing happened to them. So I'd love to go. Maybe me and Isaac will go one day and make a video on it. But basically, yeah, this guy's going through these 7 gates, and really, really bad stuff starts happening to him. The DVD series. This one's fucked up. This one I gave a content warning to. I don't know if it originally comes with one, but it's getting one now. So this one, this guy starts getting these DVDs in the mail, and he's watching them, and these DVDs are basically of this freaking psychopath who is torturing this mom and her family, and the guy makes them call him John or something like that, even though that's not his real name, and he gives all the people new names and everything like that, and eventually the mom winds up pregnant, and she doesn't want to be pregnant with his baby, so yeah, she how do I say this, she leaves the world of the living, I guess that's okay, to say on here. But yeah, and then the daughter's the only one who manages to escape. And then fast forward to the future, the daughter's doing an interview about this guy. I forgot what they called him. But it's a pretty lengthy one. It's about 45 minutes long. It's broken up over these DVD series. I don't know if that's the actual name for this one. I just learned that today, that it might go under another name. But you should be able to find it. I mean, yeah. On the edge of the internet. Here's how you can access it. Oh, this one's really good. I was asking myself, why did I put this one on this iceberg so low again? And then I went to the Reddit page and I was like, oh, that's why I put this one on here so low. So the real cool thing about this one comes at the very end. The title is a summary once again, so there's not too much I can say about this one other than listen to it all the way to the end. Disturbed a stone circle. We have awoken something horrible. Oh yeah, they did. This one's really good. I thought this one was going to be dog shit by reading the title. No, I was wrong. It is really good. So what they awoken was a creature that can attack you and kill you rather easily as long as it has some reflective surface. Now just look around where you are right now, where you're sitting listening to this video. How many reflective surfaces are around you, okay? Imagine how difficult that would be to avoid an entity that attacks you through reflective surfaces. Okay, this was an excellent story. It was an excellent read. It's only 20 minutes long for a narration. Go listen to it. Surveillance footage of a strange ritual gone wrong. I didn't know this one was written by Mr. Outlaw until just now. I'm not even kidding you. This is probably my favorite thing he's written because this was a really good story. The title is a summary once again, and it's a bizarre ritual, let me tell you. A lot of weird shit's going on here. And the ending has a great twist too. This one's only about a 22 minute narration. Man, some of these authors, man, I tell you. Feed the pig. Don't let my little cute image fool you. This one's terrifying. Elias, once again, has outdone himself. So this guy dies, wakes up in another dimension. He has a chance to go back to life as long as he feeds the pig. And the dimension that this guy's in sucks. It sucks ass, okay? And so it's either feed the pig or stay in this dimension. And he really doesn't want to stay in this dimension, so he chooses to feed the pig. I'll let you read this for yourself to find out what the hell feed the pig means. But yeah, Elias, man, what more do I need to say? Solved the Fermi paradox, and I regret it. Oh yeah, he regrets it alright. So if you don't know what the Fermi paradox is, join the club, because I don't know what the fucking Fermi paradox is either. Luckily, you don't need to know anything about that to get this creepypasta. Basically, this dude has these eyes put into him or something weird done to his eyes, and then he can start seeing weird alien things and different alien creatures, and these creatures can hurt him. And so he's like losing his mind seeing all these creatures and shit like that. And like a lot of stuff happens to him. I'm not summarizing it just. I know my summaries are dog shit, but yeah, it's just the description of the aliens and everything like that made this one absolutely terrifying. Plus sent me recordings of his visit to the underworld. This guy's grandpa's the biggest dickhead grandpa ever. Period. I don't want to hear any arguments. It's about this little boy who follows his grandpa into the underworld to kill his grandpa, if I remember correctly. And this is not your typical interpretation of hell. This author made his whole own twisted version of hell. He didn't call it hell either, he called it something else, so I'm really kicking myself in the ass right now because I can't remember what he called it. But this story gets really fucked up and really disturbing. The most disturbing part was at the end, in my opinion. And this author has written other stuff about his hell that he's made, and after hearing the end of this story, I didn't want to look. I was genuinely scared, and that's not something that usually happens to me, okay? Like, pretty much nothing scares me. Now I definitely want to look into it again because I've kind of recovered, you know. I completely forgot about it. Definitely going to look into more of this guy's writing. You should definitely read this one. I found a strange chat log on my dead friend's computer. Huge content warning on this one, guys. I don't even think I should summarize this one. It's pretty bad. Basically, this guy comes across his deceased friend. There's a chat log on his computer. His chat log was not a good chat log. It was telling him to do... It wasn't telling him to do anything. It was just really bumming him out. Imagine a really mean school bully. Okay, now imagine that school bully is in a computer program, and every time something positive happens to you, this bully just immediately shoots down your thunder and makes you feel like shit. That's basically what this chat log was doing to this guy. That's all I'm going to say on it. It's about a 20-minute narration. It has a different actual title on the Reddit page, which I didn't know. I can't post what the title is on the Reddit page. But if you type in this one on Google, you'll find it. You'll find a narration for it. And yeah. Runners. This is the bad one we got right here. Bad as in it's so messed up. I'm not sure who the author was. If it is actually Max Lobdell. I just went to unsettlingstories.com. And Slough, S-L-O-U-G-H, is the version of this story that I'm talking about here. This one, I'm not sure exactly what all I can and can't say on YouTube without getting in trouble. But this one has a lot of blood, we'll just say that. Yeah, I can't, there's not really too much to say. These scientists are in this, I think they're in the Amazon, somewhere humid. And they're doing some research and they come across this fungus, and there's also this tribe of natives there. And once everybody gets this fungus in their lungs, it starts affecting their brain, and they start doing some really gross stuff. This is the most disturbing and fucked up story I've seen Elias write so far. I think I've read all of his works. This one is the most disturbing by a long shot. On the iceberg, I set it off to the side under the sad face. Thinking about it now, it probably should be down on the very bottom layer because of how disturbing it is. Massive content warning on this one. It's basically, there's this family that's living happily in this neighborhood. All the families are living happily, as a matter of fact. Then this person shows up, calls himself Tommy Taffy, and he says, "I'm your third parent." And he inserts himself into the family, and he does some really bad stuff. The best way I've heard him described is as a paranormal abuser. Take from that what you will. I can't say too much because I'll get on YouTube's naughty list, but yeah, it's the whole thing is about 2 hours long, but the third part isn't taken from the first character's point of view. It's taken from two cops, if I remember correctly, who show up to a house where Tommy Taffy has been, and they're seeing the destruction and how he's laid waste to this house and this family. And yeah, this one was something else. Oh man, we are almost to the bottom of this iceberg. I hope you guys are enjoying so far. I hope you've taken the time to go out and listen to some of these stories. And let's wrap this thing up. Alright, we got 4 down here. Baraska. There's a group of perverts targeting kids on YouTube. This is not a note. And the hidden webpage. Okay, I'm going to address the hidden webpage first because this was also in my other creepypasta video I've made, top 5 scariest creepypastas. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Come on, how many times do I have to say it? Seriously. This is the scariest creepypasta ever written. I don't care what anybody says. I will argue you on this one. Oddly enough, this one doesn't have a content warning. It's not the most disturbing creepypasta, but it is the scariest. Yeah, I can't summarize this one. I didn't summarize it in the other video I made just because I can't do it. Like, it's just, you just gotta go. You just gotta go, man. Well, I'm putting my trust in you. This is not a note. So this one needs a content warning. Hold. Okay, sorry about that. So this one is about a guy who he gets a letter, something like that, in the mail that his uncle has passed away and he's inherited his uncle's property. So he's like, oh, okay, you know, well, whatever. So he tells his wife, he tells his work, he goes to his uncle's property. He works from home, I believe, so he's able to work there and everything like that. He takes his dog with him. And then some weird stuff starts happening at his uncle's property, and he's beginning to think it's haunted because stuff just gets weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder. And by the end of this, I didn't know what happened, man. You might be lost, or you might figure out what's going on. The reason this one's at the bottom of the iceberg, I can't say because it's going to ruin it. So what I would recommend you do is what I did. After you finish reading this or listening to this, go to the author's Reddit page and look for a post, because he makes another post detailing another POV of this story, and that explains what happened, and then you'll see why this one is on the bottom of the iceberg. Baraska. Oh my god, Baraska. This is a very popular creepypasta, if you can call it that. It's a super long one too. If you've heard this one, you know why it's down here. Typically this will be at the bottom of most icebergs. This one, the disturbing thing doesn't really happen to the end. And there's two parts to Baraska. The first part is the better part. The second part is kind of dragged out, and it just makes it fall into the too fucking long pasta category that I invented earlier. But so it starts out with this boy and his family move to this new town. He makes two friends, and most of the story is just him building his friendship. The first part's about 2 hours in narration, and most of that is just him building his friendship with his two friends, Kyle and Kimber. And see, I remember the names. That's how. So yeah, it's him building his friendship with Kyle and Kimber, and then, you know, it's stuff with his sister and his dad and the other kids in school and stuff like that. So it's a lot of character development in the story. And eventually, girls start disappearing from the town, and so his sister winds up being one of the ones to disappear, and his dad's the chief of police or the sheriff or something like that. But his dad's kind of just half-assing this investigation into these disappearances and everything like that. And the kid starts to get pissed off, and he's basically a grown-ass man at this point. So he takes it upon himself to do his own investigation. Him and Kyle take it upon themselves to do his own investigation, and what they find is some fucked up shit. Let me tell you, pretty fucked up shit. Part 2 is basically just a follow-up to this part. It's a lot of really unnecessary stuff in it, and it's a lot of dragged out stuff. It does give Baraska a happy ending. This has a very dark ending. I didn't know about part 2 for a while, and I was pretty disturbed, and then I heard about it, and I was like, oh, it does give the story a happy ending. So if you don't want a happy ending, then fuck part 2. Don't waste your time with that bullshit. But yeah, this is a pretty disturbing story we got here. There is a group of perverts targeting kids on YouTube. Okay, I don't know. Looking at this story again, I know exactly what it is now. I didn't know that the first time I listened to it, and I don't know if the author this was his actual experience with this, if this was based on a true story that he actually did. He actually went through this or not. But the reason this creepypasta is at the bottom of this iceberg, and the reason it's the most disturbing creepypasta, it's on the bottom of most icebergs, and the reason being is because this is a real thing that actually happens. And I'm not going to say what it is because I'll get in trouble, but perverts and children, guys, put 2 and 2 together. So I'm not going to go into a whole thing here about what it is, but it's a thing called Elsagate. Feel free to look into it for yourselves. There's been plenty of videos made on it. YouTube's aware of it. They're trying to clear it up, we'll say. I can't say what it is exactly. But yeah, this one, you have to listen to this one, and then this. Just remember, if you do read this one or listen to this one, just remember, this is real. This is a real thing that's happening. That's why it's so disturbing and so messed up. And yeah. Oh my god, everybody. We did it. We did it. We made it to the bottom of the iceberg. Oh. Were you brave enough to listen to all of them? Were you brave enough to listen to any of them? Thank you so much for those of you who did listen all the way to the end. This is my first iceberg video. I really got into these lately. This is not the normal thing I do. Normally we do video games and stuff, but I felt the need to make an iceberg because most of the creepypasta ones I saw were just junk, and I've listened to so much stuff. I'm sure that most people have not listened to probably any of these. They've probably listened to a handful of stuff that's on this iceberg, but a lot of these are probably unknown to people, and that's kind of what I was going for when I made this video, was to make these creepypastas more mainstream and to get them the popularity that they deserve. If you watch this all the way to the end, thank you again. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up, give me that like, give me that love. If you really liked it, you can hit that subscribe button. I'll probably wind up making another iceberg in the future. Like I mentioned earlier, I might make one on SCPs or the backrooms or something along those lines. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you again for watching, and have a good one.